Hi, my name is Barbuto, and today I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly how I prepare for a meeting. Using an actual meeting that I'm preparing for right now. It is currently 9:23. My meeting is at 11 a.m. It is with a prospect who I worked with several years back, but she is now at a new agency. This was set up by a cold outreach LinkedIn message. Let's jump into it. So the first place I naturally will go to is her LinkedIn, and I will be jotting down notes as I go through this preparation process. So how do they describe their current role and responsibility in their own words? So in this case, I see that she's managing a team of planners, buyers, paid search specialists, overseeing digital strategy for higher ed specifically, and nonprofit verticals. So I'm gonna write down the specific verticals. I'm also gonna write down the fact that she's overseeing a team. And I see here she also included the names of several of her current clients. So I'm gonna write some of those names down as well. What I'm gonna do is go into my email and see what exactly is it that I put in my email that may have sparked her interest. It's been a while, we'd love to reconnect. I saw you're leading strategy across higher ed and nonprofit, which I obviously got from her LinkedIn. Two areas we have deep expertise in. We've supported both, including nonprofit team in DC, tailored solutions for educational marketers, drive enrollment, engagement, and measurable ROI. Since we haven't spoken since you've joined your new company, would love to set up a quick reconnect call. She then responded the next day with, good to hear from you. You've caught me in peak planning season, so my calendar is pretty packed for the next few weeks. I will also say that while it was great partnering with Basis, which is my company, our client roster at her new agency has almost no programmatic spend. And our agency is pretty well entrenched with one of our biggest competitors. Full transparency, our current clients and media mix might not have much room for incorporating new platforms. So that gives me a ton of information. One, very little to no programmatic spend. At my company, that is a core offering. That is how we partnered in the past. For the little programmatic spend that she does offer, she uses a key competitor of ours, okay? So that's critical for me to know. Now, what does that mean for me? Does that mean there's no opportunity? Not necessarily, but obviously not ideal. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the company's LinkedIn page. The LinkedIn page is gonna give you a quick blurb of how they describe themselves. Sometimes it can give you information around their differentiator, on their core services, also like their headquarters, how big the company is. So this is all important information for me to know. So I just navigated to the company's page. Now I'm going to turn on the bell. So now I get notifications every time they post something, so I can stay up to date. In fact, I'm gonna do the same thing with my actual prospect. So I wanna get a notification in case, she ever changes jobs, or if she ever posts, or if it's her birthday, anything like that, you'll be able to get notifications on, which is why I turn the bell on, so I can make comments on that. Okay, so I navigated to the LinkedIn page, and not a ton of information here, but what it basically says is that they're full service agency. Okay, so that means to me that they do everything. They don't just do paid media, they do all forms of paid media, and they also do creative. But they only have, what it says here is 34 associated members. It also says here that they're headquartered in New York, and they have one office. That's also important. So with that being said, that's not a huge headcount to be a full service agency. And so what that likely means is that they use partners for certain things to fill the gaps. And so I want to understand what those gaps are. Another question I'm going to write down so I don't forget is, how big is her team? How are they structured? So I'll navigate to the people tabs of the LinkedIn page. I will look at some of the titles. I personally typically will connect with some of the other team members that I see are relevant. I'm just gonna jot down some of the key people that I see here with relevant titles. This will give me an understanding of what their team is like. I also noticed that she has multiple emails, so I'm gonna look into that, because it's probably gonna be something related to a parent company perhaps, or maybe a merger or rebrand or something along those lines. But I'm curious to hear about that. That's a question I'm gonna ask. But okay, I'm looking at some of the titles, look at some of the key decision makers. This can give you a lot of information about the makeup of the company that you're gonna be speaking to. because there are specialized titles in here. And now I pretty much answered the question that I had, which is about how is your team structured? These are people that likely report to her. Curious if she oversees all media. I think she probably does, but I'm gonna write that down. I won't necessarily ask all of these questions. I will ask the questions that are gonna be most relevant at the time based on what I learn. And based on what I determine from all of this, what I think will likely be able to add value with. All right, so I just went through all of them and I got a pretty good understanding of how they're likely structured. If this was a big enough agency, you could check out the insights on LinkedIn. What I found is smaller companies don't usually have a ton of up-to-date insights, but I'll just take a quick peek just to see headcount down 6%, 2 years down 19%. Okay, it doesn't really give you all that much information, but if it is a bigger company, you can likely find some relevant insights. So now I'm gonna affirm that by going to their website. I see that the first things that pop up is, again, nonprofit and education. When I go to prepare material and do my own research for our company, I will then prepare ideas for nonprofit and education. Okay. So this now giving me a list of clients. I'm gonna jot down a couple that weren't in your bio, just so I have them, in case I wanna ask about them specifically or present specific examples. Our story, born in the pandemic, that's interesting. So only been around since 2021. The company is this parent company's newest agency. So that means that they are a part of a holding company. That is interesting. And that makes sense because now I just answered my own question regarding why they have two different emails. We offer the speed of a startup and the strength of a 20-year-old business. So now I have a list of team members. I highly recommend visiting the page, which has the basically standout individuals. Usually it's the executive team. Smaller companies may have everybody. It really depends. And now I can confirm that very high likelihood that all of these people report to her. She reports to this person who I'm writing down, who's the managing director. I'm also seeing titles related to billing, titles related to media and analytics, creative, one person in creative, another 2 titles in paid search, nothing in paid social. So that's interesting. What that basically says to me is that they may have mostly search and maybe minimal social, no specific to programmatic, which aligns with what she had put in her email. But yeah, small agency, this is likely all their team members. So it's probably a 12-person agency. So small team. All right, now I'm gonna navigate to expertise. Okay, so it just calls out their 3 verticals. Join our newsletter. I'll go ahead and do that. Why not? I'll get updated on the latest. Now I'm going to look at some of these recent articles that they posted. I'll see if there are any written by the prospect who I'm meeting with. That'll tell me what her focus is and what her specialties are. Then I'm also gonna take a peek at the case study. I will watch some of these videos. And then from here, now that I've gathered all this information, now that I have all of these questions written down, now I want to start brainstorming what all this most likely means, okay? And what are the most important questions that I'm gonna need to ask? And how do I wanna prepare for this? What is the most likely value that we can deliver for them? How can we most likely help them based on the information I was able to find on their tech stack, their team, the verticals that they fall under, the information that she shared with me already? 2 is partnership model, which goes hand in hand with the value, of course. What is my goal for this meeting? What I'll do after this video is I will go through all of this and try to make some sense of it all. And I will also prepare some content. I want to come in as prepared as possible and then be flexible based on what I learn. And so I'll have all of this pulled up in front of me. I will have a sheet which basically says the name of the person I'm speaking to, the name of the company, the size, all key important points that I was able to find out. So things like the verticals they work on, the value that I'm expecting. And last but not least, every meeting you go into, you should go into it with a next step in mind. So in this scenario, I have basically two options here. Number one is, if it seems like it could be a good fit for our platform, the next natural follow-up is a demo. And I will mention the fact that she has not seen the platform in quite some time. So she may be interested anyway. If they're most likely not going to be in the self-service, then potentially I will try to get a RFP from them. I will bring up ideas where we can help with pitching business and solutions for their clients. I still haven't met those 2 other people on our team, and I would love to meet them. I might say, we have employees that specialize in the 2 verticals that you work on. Why don't we set up a follow-up meeting where we bring you ideas for the verticals that you focus on that we've seen success with. I'll bring in my specialty folks. I would love to meet the other 2 members of your team, so that way I can have a similar conversation with them, so that way in case any opportunities do come up, it could be a very seamless process. I want to help you with however I can help you, right? So whether that means winning business, whether that means using our platform to streamline processes, even if there's not an opportunity right now, there might be an opportunity down the line. So this would be a good opportunity for me to educate, to provide details on ways we might be able to provide value, and hopefully find some ways where we can help and partner together in the future. Honestly, it may not be a great opportunity just because of what she had already shared with me based on what I found, but you never know. And so it's well worth having a conversation. I'm looking forward to learning a lot to confirm some of these details. And either way, unless they prove to be completely unqualified and there's likely no business opportunity in the future, I'm gonna shoot for one of these follow-ups. You wanna come in with as much information as you possibly can find online, but then get ready to ask these questions to confirm them, let them know, okay, I did my research, this is what I found, and then you can be flexible and pivot based on what you learn in the conversation. I hope this was helpful. I break down all of my processes, everything from the research that I use to find these prospects to how I use it to reach out to them, break through the noise, set up time, like the one that I did here with templates, as well as how to conduct the meetings. I talk about how I secure next steps in my new book, Top Sales Producer, How to Crush Your Sales Quota. It's out on Amazon right now, and the audiobook will be out soon. If you wanna know the exact script that I use to set up next steps in meetings, check out andrewbarbuto.com/resources and check out my meeting hack of how to secure next steps in 5 minutes. It's a free download, or check out any of my other videos. I put out weekly B2B sales tips. You might wanna check out this video or this video regarding how to close your first deal or how to sell software step by step. If this was helpful, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, if you're not helping, you're not selling. Thanks.